Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Arts at EPCC. My name is Dr. Yasmim Flores, and this is the second installment of Miss Maria Silva. She is a flute music ed major at UTEP, and she is a former EPCC student. Hello again, Maria. Welcome back.
Hello.
For the second half. She's like, I didn't go anywhere. But you all did. You went to the restroom, and now you're back. So, okay, Maria, we were talking about Hindemith and Mozart. Let's talk about Paul Hindemith, shall we? Paul Hindemith is a very interesting little fellow. He is a very interesting composer, contemporary of Howard Hanson, I remember that much. And he had his own music analysis. Did you know that?
No, not really.
Oh, yes. Maria, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't remember why I know that. I don't know how I remember that, I should say. So, yeah, Paul Hindemith, look it up. I used to have a really neat little PDF that described his analysis system. Talk to Miss Lambrecht, because I bet you she knows it. Or your music history person, is it Machiarella?
I'm not taking history right now.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay. So when you take history, Dr. Machiarella, but you're taking theory for sure. Yes. Do you have Mr. Jarvis, Brian Jarvis, or Dosha, or who am I missing?
Dr. Lineberger?
Yes, Charles. That's right. Yeah. Do you have Dr. Lineberger?
Yes.
Okay. I can assure you that Dr. Lineberger knows about Hindemith's analysis system for music. It's pretty fascinating because I remember him and I want to say Howard Hanson. They both had their own way of analyzing music. So pick his brain about that. It's very interesting. Now, the thing that you despise about Hindemith, most likely, I'm sorry to say that. I know I use strong words. I am just as passionate about music as you are, Maria. Is that he uses a lot of fourths. And we don't practice our fourths enough. Listen well, all of you out there that are flute players and clarinet players. We're used to practicing thirds, okay? Da, da. Yeah, I can do it with my fingers too, right? Okay, great. We do this. We do this all the time. But we don't practice fourths. Why? Why don't we practice fourths? I don't know. Some books don't have them. A lot of our books for our instruments, you and me, flute and clarinet, are rather archaic, and so they predate Hindemith. Ah, yes, Carl Beermann's scales for clarinet predate Paul Hindemith. So, of course, they weren't doing, although there are newer editions for you, those of you out there. I love the John Snavely edition, but again, I'm talking clarinet. What book do you play out of for your scales?
For my scales, right now, she has me using the Foundations book.
Uh-huh.
She has me working on my scales through there.
Okay, great. Okay, there's a little yellow book. There's the Paris scales as well. There's a little yellow book that you all use. Do you know that? Is it Taffanel? Do you know the Taffanel?
That's what it's called.
Yes, the Taffanel book. Oh, look, my brain works. That's awesome. I'm always impressed when it does. Do you own the Taffanel book?
Not the Taffanel book.
Do I need to go out and buy you the Taffanel book? I think I need to. When's your birthday?
Well, it actually passed. It was this Friday.
Oh! Well, happy birthday, Maria! Maria, I'm going to get you the Taffanel book. Okay? That is my gift to you. The Taffanel book, if I recall correctly, and now I have to clear out the spider webs in my brain, it's that it actually does patterns. So it doesn't do like do, re, mi, fa, sol, da, 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 da. And it works that way. And not so much like do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re. It doesn't do that so much. Okay, so it does more of like the broken patterns, which is good because guess what little flute players do? You all play a lot of those little patterns, don't you? Yes, you do.
Yes.
Yes, in your band music, in the orchestra pieces. Have you studied any orchestral excerpts? Let me ask you another dumb question. I'm filled with dumb questions about the flute today. And I should ask Miss Zalkin to come on the show. I think she runs from me when she sees me. She's like, oh no, here she comes with questions. When you audition for orchestral auditions, do you guys have to play the Mozart flute concerto? I think you do, don't you? Because we're stuck with the Mozart clarinet concerto.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. Whatever. I'm so sick of it. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm sick of that piece. I love God bless Mozart. He's a great guy, I'm sure. He died at 35. Rough life, right? And the piece is perfection. Like, I mean, I feel like I'm complaining about red velvet cake. Right? Like, who am I to complain about red velvet cake? Oh, well, that or carrot cake. Do you like carrot cake?
Yes.
Me too. I love carrot cake. But imagine eating carrot cake every day. Wouldn't you get sick of it? Wouldn't you just be like, here's a carrot cake again? Or flan every day. I love flan. Actually, flan every day wouldn't be a bad thing. But if you had it every single day, after a while you'd get tired, right, of carrot cake and flan. And so then my question is, which I can see by the way, our cameraman does not like either of those. He just made some faces. But the folks at home don't realize it. But yeah, I love carrot cake and I love flan, but you can't have it every day. The Clarinet Concerto by Mozart is played for almost all auditions. And so I'm sick of it. When I hear it, I walk away. I can't anymore. I would assume that it's also the Mozart flute concerto for you all. How does it go? Sing it? Sing the flute.
Concerto?
Yeah.
The one in G major?
Yes.
Da, 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 da,
Oh, right. Dum dum da 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 da. That one. I know it, girl. I got you. I love that concerto. I love it. I like the rest of Mozart's music. I have no issue with the rest of his music. It's fantastic. I'm just sick of the clarinet concerto. Would it be sacrilegious of me to borrow the flute concerto and transcribe it for the clarinet? Would you take offense to it?
No, not really.
It's been decided, everyone. I am taking the Mozart flute concerto and I am transcribing it for the clarinet. Because Maria Silva said I could. All right? Done. It's been decided. I love it. Now, so I'm borrowing that from you. What other pieces have you played on the flute?
The flute, I played last year. I did a piece by John Rutter, someone I've never heard before. It was my first time.
I've heard of him, and I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to think if he did anything for clarinet. I feel like he did, and I cannot remember now because it's new enough now that I'm not in the new literature as much as I used to be. I used to know what was hot off the press when I was younger. I think my generation, what was hot off the press when I left college? I'm trying to think. Carnix was somewhat hot off the press, which you don't know that piece. But for clarinet, I knew of a few pieces that were like, ooh, this is fun, right? You either print it out, you buy it, you download it, or you buy it at the conferences, right? I have buckets of music that I've never played. Just buckets of music that back in the day and before the imslp.org and some of these other websites, right? Before that, you had to go to a music store and buy sheet music. And so years ago, I used to go to Ebel Music out of Iowa City, And I had the opportunity to meet those folks when I went to the University of Iowa. So that was very nice. I got to meet Ebel, which I'd ordered. They knew me when I walked in the doors the first time and said, "You're Yasmim Flores?" I said, "Yes, me. I'm the girl that buys hundreds of dollars of music from you all." And what's interesting is that I bought a lot of old stuff. And what was it, 15 years ago or so, when all that old stuff went online, now people don't have to buy it. So, and some people do. People will buy the Baron Rider editions and stuff like that. Do you know about the Baron Rider edition?
No.
Okay, Maria's learning a lot today. Maria, I charge $40 an hour, by the way, for this lesson. Okay, Maria, let's talk about Baron Rider. Baron Rider, Henley, Peters, where international, meh. All right, international, whatever. They have mistakes. I said it. I know, it's being recorded. We're going to have this on YouTube, by the way. So these are all publishers of music, very well-known publishers. And your quintessential, most expensive publisher of music, such as the Mozart Flute Concerto, is going to be the Baron Rider edition. Okay, so look up the Baron Rider edition. Henley probably also has an edition of that. But every publisher, what you'll find, what is the difference? You're probably like, well, if I walk into a music store, right, if they exist, and I see 10 different copies of the Mozart Flute Concerto, Baron Rider, Henley, C.F. Peters, International, Southern, all these different publishers, you're like, well, I'm going to go with the cheapest one, right? Isn't that your inclination? You're like, I'm going to go with the one for $7.95. I'll take this one. Yes, ma'am. Here you go. Here's your $8 and whatever cents. That's a dumb idea. Why? The cheaper they are, the more mistakes they have. The more you know. Yes, true story. And not only that, but also certain publishers will put their own markings that are not from the composer. Did you know that? Yeah. How come you never pick my brain about these things, Maria? You're busy over there trying to learn Music Theory 1, and I'm just a world of information when it comes to other things, right? So, so when you buy the Baron Rider is true to the original manuscript of Mozart, right? So it usually has the fewest markings. It's pretty bare because Mozart was never gonna, most of those composers were not gonna bog the music down with all these markings like we do today, right? When you look at a newer score, you look at, let's say, at Poulenc. All right, you know, your former teacher played the Poulenc the other day, Miss Alkind. She performed it, and it was stellar. It was beautiful. So when you look at Poulenc or the Hindemith or some of these newer pieces from the 20th century, the composers are much more specific about where they want those crescendos, decrescendos, and how they want you to fluctuate with the tempo. Whereas somebody like Mozart, Haydn, because you probably have stuff by Haydn, we don't. We're too young, the clarinet. But all those old composers from the classical period, especially go back to Baroque, go back to Telemann. You have those Telemann fantasies, right, that you all play. Those pieces, those composers were not that specific because they were leaving it really up to the performer to interpret a lot of that. And the performer had to know, like, I know that I'm not going to get wild with the dynamics. I know that is outside of the norm. Like, getting wild with dynamics was not even occurring to somebody in the Baroque period, right? They just were trying to get through the notes and make it clean and play it in tune. That was their focus because the instruments were all so brand new at the time, right? And I speak for my own. The flute was still going through a lot of modifications in the 1600s, 1700s because you all were still not using the BAM system, right? Do you know when you started to use the BAM system on flute?
Not really.
Okay, I'm asking you master's level questions. Now I'm just being mean. That's a master's level question. So if you decide to get your master's, let's say you go teach. I'm planning out your life. I got you. You're going to teach for a few years. You're going to teach middle school. You're going to start to assist a high school band director with their high school band, okay? You're going to get a little taste of that. You're going to go, I like this job. You're going to go, I can see myself being a high school band director. You're going to go back, get your master's somewhere. And when you get your master's, you have to do what we call comprehensive exams. And I bet you money one of your comprehensive exam questions is going to be about the BAM system. B-O-E-H-M. That man changed the fingering system to the flute and the clarinet. Theobald is his name. Again, useless information that I know, and now I share it with you. Carry the torch, right? Yeah, the flute, a lot of those woodwinds had real funny, so like the bassoon is not a BAM system. The bassoon, we use the German bassoon. The audience is getting a full lesson on woodwinds. The German bassoon is what we use here in the United States. There's two different systems. There's a French system and a German. Same with the clarinet, French system and German. The German system has totally different fingerings. Sometimes American clarinetists, when we play German composers in the orchestra, such as Chicago, they will bust out with German clarinets and play the German pieces on German clarinets. That's awesome. I don't own a German clarinet. They're thousands of dollars. I'm not going to buy one. I'm like, I've already spent my thousands on my instruments. They're expensive, aren't they? Oh my gosh. I had to sell my arm and my first child to get my instruments. Just kidding. I didn't sell anything. But I did have to pull out some loans. I will tell you that much, like in all seriousness, to get my instruments. Have you thought about getting some of the harmony instruments on flute, like alto flute?
Alto flute? I like the alto flute. It has a nice color to it.
No, I love it too. Which is the one with the bent, is that the one with the bent head joint that curls like this?
There's the alto flute that's a little bit smaller, but it's curved.
Oh, okay.
And then there's the big bass flute.
Right. Which is is the bass one with the triangle? Like it goes like that?
That's the contrabass.
Oh, that's the contrabass flute. Yeah, when I show my music appreciation class, whenever I show my music appreciation class, these flutes, I will show them videos. And so we were watching a group on YouTube, actually from the University of Iowa, and they had one of those huge flutes with the triangle. I was like, whoa, that thing's awesome. That is super cool. Are you ever going to get one of those, or do you think that's just like...
I don't think so.
You're just gonna walk out of here frightened today. Like, what is Dr. Flores suggesting? I love it. So, okay, so we've learned that Maria is playing Hindemith right now. You need to practice your fourths. We've learned that Maria is playing the flute concerto by Mozart.
I'm actually doing a sonata by him.
You're lucky. We don't have any sonatas. Aw, that's cool. That's really cool. So you're doing a sonata by Mozart, and then what's on have you picked out music for next semester?
Not for next semester.
Have you played the Faure?
No.
Go play the Faure. Faure. You can handle it, Maria, because you took pictures of stuff with a bunch of 16th notes one day. You were like, hey, I'm playing this. And I thought it was the Faure for a moment. I glanced at it. I was like, oh, that kind of looks like the Faure. So that wasn't the Faure. Oh, so that's what you're playing next semester. I got you. Barbara Lambrecht is going to smack me. She's going to come over. She's going to be like, what are you telling my student? Play the Faure, play a movement of the Poulenc. I'm just drowning you. Play a movement, play the slow movement of the Poulenc. I mean, do you have to, when you guys perform, so you all must have a departmental recital at UTEP, yes?
Yes.
Okay. And is it a weekly thing?
Yes.
Okay. What's the time limit for the departmental? Is it like 10 minutes?
I've seen people do 3 movements, up to 3 movements.
Oh, they allow them to do the whole thing. Well, learn the whole thing then, right? I'm just gonna force you to do the whole. Why not do see if and push it to the end. Push it to the end of like April, right? So that's gonna be the hard piece. Play the foray at the end of February or before spring break. I got you covered. And then for juries, when is your you said you still have a couple of semesters before you do the sophomore barrier. When is your sophomore barrier?
I'm actually, I'm a sophomore this year, so.
Okay. So it must be in May, right?
Yes.
Okay. So maybe we don't want to dump that much stuff on you for this week. So you're like, okay, fine. Let's pick, what about Telemon? Do maybe some of the Telemon fantasies, right? Or there's a beautiful piece by Telemon, and I can't remember what it is now. I thought for flute, maybe I'm thinking of the bassoon one, because there's one for bassoon that I like playing. See if you can find a Telemon. If not, like maybe one of those little fantasies. Practice your scales, because you have to know all your majors and minors with the arpeggios. You practicing those every day?
Yes, I'm actually in the process.
Correct, because you're on record.
I'm actually
Yes.
I'm actually in the process of memorizing them.
Good. Good girl. Excellent. And okay, so you're in the process of memorizing that. And then so you're playing all your scales, maybe a little bit of Telemon. And then the foray. Hold off on the Poulenc. The Poulenc, do it in fall of next year, right? It's a big piece. That's a big piece for you guys. Poulenc, who else? Who am I missing? I'm missing a lot of composers for flute. They usually wrote stuff for clarinet as well. Do you have a Muchinsky for flute?
Ever heard of him?
Okay, no. But you have a Malcolm Arnold. You have to have a Malcolm Arnold for flute. He wrote for every instrument. He wrote for every single instrument. Double check Malcolm Arnold. You probably have an unaccompanied fantasy by Malcolm Arnold. Let's see. You're going to have... Do you have any... Did Beethoven? No. Beethoven didn't do anything. He didn't do anything for us either. Whatever, Ludwig. Ludwig can go back to Bonn. Who am I missing? Let's see. Not Brahms. Tchaikovsky? No. He did violin. He did strings. I'm thinking back to all my... Schumann? Do you have anything by Schumann?
Schumann. Sounds familiar.
Okay, Robert Schumann. See if you have something by Schumann. I can't remember now. I can't remember if Schumann did anything for you guys. He wrote a clarinet piece. He wrote an oboe piece that I played recently. And so you might have an arrangement of the 3 romances by Schumann. So double check that. He wrote it for oboe. Look up, and that'll be manageable for you because there's a lot of places to breathe, which is great. That's always good news for a flute player. Let's see here. And then let me think to 20th century. Howard Hansen, people don't do his stuff. He was a harp player. Beautiful music, but it, for some reason, just didn't, like, I don't know why people don't perform him often enough. I'm thinking, and not Vaughan Williams, I'm thinking of all my 20th century composers. Is there another piece that you want to play that your flute friends have played in the studio?
There's actually several, but...
Oh. Tell me. What are they?
I'm trying to remember the names.
Okay. Did Nielsen write anything for you all?
I don't know.
Okay, so Carl Nielsen's not a name that's ringing a bell. Okay, maybe not. No Carl Nielsen. Okay. Let's see here. Let's go back. Francais. It's pronounced Francais. Somebody, I'm waiting for like an iron skillet to pop out of the camera and hit me in the head because one of those music educators out there, the cameraman's looking for it. One of those music educators out there is going to be like, it's front six. I got chewed out by somebody one time. I won't say who. It wasn't at UTEP, but it was somebody that was like, it's front six. And I was like, oh my gosh, you need to calm down. It's not that serious. Somebody calls me Flore, I'll take it. I'll take it. Whatever. Ham and cheese, right? Anyway, Jean-François may have written a piece for you all. Let's see, and that's 20th century. He's a French composer, probably about 1960s, 1970s, if he did write something for you all. Debussy? Syrinx?
Yes.
The Syrinx.
Syrinx and Claire de Lune, something like that.
Okay, so Claire de Lune is piano. If you're thinking of Claire de Lune for flute, that must be an arrangement. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the Syrinx, have you performed the Syrinx?
I haven't. I've heard of it, but I haven't really played it.
Oh, you should learn it. That's another one on your list. See? So I've got your spring repertoire, got your fall repertoire. I've got you lined up, Maria. Don't you worry. Yes, Syrinx is good to learn. And you know what? Because, Maria, keep in mind, it's good to learn all the unaccompanied rep. Because a lot of times we don't have pianists, right? And so if something happens and you need a backup piece, you need to learn the Arnold, the Debussy, all these other pieces for flute, because things happen, right? The Telemann. Who else? Not Vivaldi. There's another composer that I'm thinking of from the Baroque era. Handel, Vivaldi. Maybe J.S. Bach. I wonder if he wrote some stuff for flute. Or if you borrow stuff, you probably borrow it from strings, right? Yes. Go look it up. Go just dig into imslp.org. And for those of you that aren't familiar, it's a great website that has a lot of sheet music that is now public domain. Yes? Maria, please come back on the show. Don't let this be the last time you show. I love Maria because you crack me up. You're very sweet, but sometimes you look like a deer caught in headlights. That's okay. That's all right. When you come back, though, you're going to come back and you're going to teach me things, okay, in a couple of years. I can't wait. Thank you so much for doing this today, Maria. And she was a good sport. I know you're a busy girl over at UTEP. So shine on. Yes, forever. UTEP, University of Texas at El Paso. And for those of you that are interested in El Paso Community College, please contact me at yflore14@epcc.edu. My extension is 2361. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, Maria. Bye, everybody.